Leanne McAdoo reporting for Infowars.com. We are here in New York City, standing just outside the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. The 13th anniversary of the 9/11 September terror attacks is now being commemorated today, and I'm standing here with Richard Gage of AIA. Now, our audience is pretty familiar with the official story as well as the story that's not really making the rounds so much in the mainstream media. You all are here today bringing these pamphlets to spread a little bit of 9/11 reality. Can you talk to us about what we'll learn with these pamphlets?
You bet. We have 2,200 architects and engineers now demanding a real investigation of what happened on 9/11. And I'm representing them here at Ground Zero because we've got to get the truth to the American people about what really happened regarding the destruction of all three World Trade Center skyscrapers. We're highlighting the evidence for the explosive destruction of World Trade Center 7, which most architects and engineers know nothing about, straight down uniformly into its own footprint on 9/11 in the exact manner of a classic controlled demolition. This evidence, as well as the explosive evidence relative to the World Trade Center towers, was not covered on 9/11, was not covered since 9/11 either by the mainstream media. So in the museum, which we have created an alternative guide for, we have shown what evidence is missing from that museum, what they're not pointing out to the American people, including the lateral destruction, the lateral freely flying elements out of the World Trade Center Twin Towers, 60 miles an hour laterally, requiring explosive force, landing 600 feet away, the pulverization of 90,000 tons of concrete, the pools of molten iron pouring out of the South Tower, molten iron droplets in all the World Trade Center dust documented by the USGS. All of this information is in the alternative guide, which we're handing out to New Yorkers today. We also have the New York City premiere of Anatomy of a Great Deception. This is the film made by David Hooper, which walks people through the evidence in a narrative of his personal journey, trying to connect the dots. He's done an extraordinary job in trying to save his family, his marriage, in trying to also raise awareness to the American people in a digestible way of this scientific forensic evidence, which some find unpalatable. After all, we were all put in a state of shock on 9/11, including and of course, foremost, New Yorkers themselves. We were under attack. We wanted to accept right away what happened. I mean, tell us, government, parental figure. Here we are in a state of cognitive dissonance looking for answers. Well, we were given 19 answers. Unlikely suspects who appeared alive later on interviews with the London Guardian, the BBC, which the mainstream media has not picked up any more than they have the true explosive destruction of these Twin Towers and the lack of coverage of World Trade Center 7. So we have raised thousands of dollars from our supporters to erect in Times Square a massive 89-foot wrap around the corner billboard showing the destruction of Building 7 to New Yorkers directly. Every 15 minutes, every 3 minutes, this 15-second video is shown in an incredible display of the truth. People see the destruction of Building 7 immediately, intuitively. They understand that it is a controlled demolition. But we were told by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, that this particular building came down by normal office fires. Of course, normal office fires or any office fires have never brought down a skyscraper in the history of skyscrapers, but we have not one, not two, but three on 9/11.
Right. This is a strange phenomenon that only happened on that one day and never since then. How do you convince people? How do you convince people of this? First of all, they took away the evidence almost immediately, so there couldn't be any proper investigation, especially World Trade Center 7. If you're thinking that this is something that has occurred in such a bizarre fashion, you would think they would want to hold on to that evidence so they could actually do a little further digging, but it was taken away immediately. How do you convince people and make them see through this false narrative that we've been hearing now repeatedly 13 years?
That evidence was the crime scene evidence that was illegally destroyed within weeks. 99% of the evidence for Building 7 and the Twin Towers were hauled away for recycling in China, not kept as is required in a real forensic investigation. So this is part of an overall cover-up, which we are trying to expose to the American people, because we are concerned that if we don't get the truth out about what was done here at Ground Zero, not by Al-Qaeda probably, because Al-Qaeda didn't have access to 3 of the most highly secure buildings probably outside the Pentagon to set and place these explosives and incendiaries, but by some group of perpetrators obviously having access to the inside, obviously capable of standing down the U.S. Air Force, creating false hijacking blips on the radar screens of air traffic controllers. How do we get this information to the American people? We are out on the street. We're creating conferences such as the 9/11 Awakening goes mainstream, a truth-inspired symposium. Mark Crispin Miller, a famous author and whistleblower for the election fraud, it will be there with us. We'll also have family members and survivors telling their personal story and why they support AE 9/11 Truth's investigation, call for an investigation. We'll also have Dr. William Pepper, famous civil rights attorney, as well as Wayne Matson, former NSA analyst and journalist, exposing many important stories here in America.
All right, well, one more question. Obviously, it's been 13 years. There's no accountability. Now the president's come out last night. We're talking about a brand new form of terrorism. Now we're dealing with ISIS, who has said that they're, planning these attacks. Because we have no accountability and we have no justice for these people that day, and really the perpetrators have continued to get away with this, can something like this happen again?
We hope to God it doesn't. We're very concerned that those who can plan and execute 9/11 and largely get away with it, because there's not enough people like Alex Jones who are hero enough to stand up and speak the truth to 12 Americans, let alone millions, as he has courageously done. It's going to be a walk through the trenches, if you will, for us, those of us who care enough about our country to see that we do not get another 9/11 type attack, because we have been warned about just that by members of the former Bush administration, the media, Congress, that the next 9/11 could be a mushroom cloud. That's primarily what we're trying to avoid. We also, of course, want to expose and prosecute the criminals, treasonous, murderous criminals who have killed 3,000 Americans, 2 million Afghanis and Iraqis, 6,000 U.S. soldiers, and expended $4.5 trillion on the global war on terror, none of which had to happen, all of which goes back to 9/11, which is a fraud which every American who's aware of the evidence must take great efforts to expose.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. We'll be talking with you a little later.
Thank you.
Leanne McAdoo reporting for Infowars.com. We're standing here outside of the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. We're going to be bringing you reports all day. Check out the Ustream at Real Alex Jones. If that one goes down, it'll be Alex Jones Live, and we'll be bringing you updates all throughout the day. Thanks for tuning in. Leanne McAdoo for Infowars.com.